Hello everyone, my name is Andy and I'd like to welcome you to Bradford Networks. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you right through the world of Network Access Control, or NAC for short. I'll explain what it is, how it benefits your organization, who Bradford Networks is, and why NAC Director, our award-winning solution, is the perfect fit for your financial institution. Okay, let's start with some questions about who's using the computer networks in your facility. Do you have lots of guests or contractors who connect to your network every day with their personal computers? How about visiting clients? Do you have multiple locations to support and thousands of users with remote access? Now here's the big question. Do you know the security posture of all the devices used by all those people who use your network? Do all their operating systems have the latest patches installed? Are they all running antivirus software? How about anti-spyware? Do they carry dangerous peer-to-peer applications? If you're not checking, then you're inviting viruses, worms, and all kinds of threats into your network. That's right. Having so many users on your network creates a jungle of dangers. But it's also where NAC, or Network Access Control, is the king of beasts. NAC is a new technology solution that controls 3 parameters of your network: who connects to it, what they connect with, and when, where, and how they connect. For example, NAC can determine which of these users gets access: the approved user with a safe computer, the unapproved user with an unsafe computer, and the approved user with an unsafe computer. Now, I know many of you are thinking, wait, I already have an identity and access management system, firewalls, and intrusion prevention systems. Isn't that NAC? And if not, isn't that enough? Well, the answer is that although those defenses are valuable pieces, you need NAC to complete the puzzle. For example, identity and access management systems only control access to specific applications, while NAC controls access to your entire network. And while firewalls protect you from internet threats, NAC protects you from every device using your specific network every day. At Bradford, we think the most secure formula is to combine our NAC solution with your existing security setup. That's what we call the complete defense in-depth strategy that covers all the security bases. And it's why our NAC solution is designed to integrate smoothly with the security setup you already have. NAC may be new to the financial services scene, but at Bradford, we know it well. In fact, Bradford is a pioneer in network access control. We've been shipping NAC solutions since way back in 2002. We started in the education field, which features tons of people with every device under the sun, all sharing the same network. And recently, we secured over 1 million students, faculty, and staff who returned to school after the holidays on campuses worldwide. In fact, we're already making similar waves in financial services, and that's where we are today. As a financial services company and in today's regulatory environment, these 7 key questions are driving executive IT security decisions. Let's look at real examples that illustrate these security issues, and later we'll see how Bradford addresses each one. First, with so many users connecting to your network, are they bringing viruses and worms with them that threaten to take down your financial systems? If this has happened in your organization, you know that even one stray virus or worm can bring your network to a complete halt, compromising everything, including private customer data that you've been entrusted to protect. With today's changing workforce, it's inevitable that you've struggled with the best way to grant temporary access to your network for visitors, guests, and contractors. Yes, it's a challenge. Restricting different users to different network resources is a key part of effective access security. Critical to network access control is being able to document which users are accessing various IT resources. Resources that may include the systems housing information that's used for audits, or the systems holding confidential customer data. Contractors and temporary workers may connect only once in a while. Being able to assess the health and integrity of all of the devices that are accessing your network is key in adhering to regulatory requirements. And what happens once you find an at-risk user? Are you able to isolate them immediately in a special quarantine area? And when your network combines IT devices with network devices, the need to quarantine network threats is even more imperative. And the list goes on. Tracking down open ports, controlling wireless access, you name it. So, where do you turn? Well, for a complete NAC system, it includes 3 key integrated functions, what we call the 3 pillars of network access control: identity management, or who's on your network; endpoint compliance, or what device is connecting; and finally, usage policy enforcement, which includes all the rules about who can use your network, how they can use it, and what to do when someone's not playing by your rules. Remember, a true and complete NAC system includes all 3 of these pillars. If you meet other vendors who claim to have a NAC solution, make sure it includes all 3 pillars. And I urge you, when it comes to NAC solutions, accept no substitutes. Okay, so let's walk through each of these pillars in a little more detail, starting with identity management. Identity management is the backbone of all good security solutions. The more precise the identification, the more effective the solution. That's why NAC Director uses a unique 7-point identity profile to define each user. First, you want to know who they are. So NAC Director identifies their username and user role. Next, you want to know what they're using to connect. So NAC Director tells you the unique device name of that user's computer, plus the MAC addresses of all the network devices inside it. Then, you want to know how, where, and when that user connected. So NAC Director gives you the IP address used to connect, that's the how, plus the network access point, the physical point where the computer connects, that's the where, and records the time of day the user connects and disconnects. And that, of course, is the when. Those 7 critical pieces of information can work magic for you. With them, you can monitor, locate, control, and resolve access problems with an incredible degree of precision, right down to the exact physical location of that specific user and their network device. That precision is why Bradford Networks includes all 7, so you can implement the exact policies you need for your organization. Plus, as you know, documenting the who, where, and when are key requirements for complying with the rules. And since effective security means giving different access levels to different users, NAC Director delivers role-based access functionality that specific users are connected to specific VLANs depending on their level of authorization. You can refine roles even further by location, so people can access different areas of the network depending on if they're in public places, shared spaces, conference rooms, or controlled areas. Role-based access also makes it easier to correct security violations quickly. You can isolate users, force registration and remediation, and even disconnect non-compliant devices from the network. And in financial services organizations, you can set roles to restrict who has access to systems with confidential customer data. The result? Your network stays clean and safe for the people who should be on it, and impenetrable to those who shouldn't. Okay, let's shift gears to the second pillar, endpoint compliance. If identity management is the who of access security, then endpoint compliance is the what. Its job is ensuring that the devices on your network meet your minimum security standards. NAC Director does this using dissolvable and persistent agents, which are software programs that check devices to make sure they're clean. For regular users, like your staff, we use persistent agents that stay permanently on their devices. And for occasional users, like contractors and guests, we use dissolvable agents that run once and self-destruct. These agents automatically run up to 7 compliance checks, which are: checking that operating system patches and hotfixes are installed, checking that antivirus software is installed, operating, and running with the latest definitions, checking that anti-spyware is loaded and running with latest definitions, checking prohibited and required applications, checking required files, checking running processes, and even checking device drivers for security vulnerabilities. If NAC Director finds an at-risk device, it's placed in a secure quarantine VLAN, which is like the isolation ward at a hospital. There, the user is directed to web pages they can download so they can fix the problem themselves, reapply for access, and get retested. This automated process means potential threats can usually be eliminated without users tying up your help desk. Okay, let's talk about the third pillar, policy enforcement. Whatever information you're protecting, the functionality in NAC Director will help you enforce your rules before users connect. As I mentioned, NAC Director also works with other security products like firewalls and intrusion detection systems to find and fix violations that occur after someone connects to the network. When that happens, NAC Director takes automatic action, like warning the user, notifying the help desk, and shutting down access. In other words, NAC Director puts teeth in your acceptable use policy, showing your users that you will respond to each and every violation. Now, back to the 7 questions. Let's review how the 3 pillars of NAC address those questions. Identity management assists with registration and authentication, as well as role and location-based rules. NAC Director's endpoint compliance validates, quarantines, and remediates. And the policy enforcement capabilities in NAC Director ensure there's an acceptable use policy in place for even the most complex financial environment. So, now you have a sense of how NAC addresses security concerns. But I hear you wondering, what are the physical parts that make up a NAC solution? Well, NAC solutions have 2 major parts. NAC servers, which have user identity profile information, usage policy definitions, and the rules to enforce them, and those software agents I mentioned that check the security of outside devices. The good news here is that our agents work on a variety of computing platforms. In fact, our dissolvable agents work on Windows, Mac, and Linux systems, and our persistent agents work on Windows and Macs as well. So, no matter what computing platform your regular and guest users are using, chances are we can give it the once-over without a second thought. Okay, now that you're imagining how secure NAC Director can make your network, you may still be wondering, how does NAC Director actually integrate with my current equipment? And will adding it slow down my network? Not to worry. We know you've worked hard to build a great network, and you don't want the expense and disruption of new equipment. You just need to make it more secure. And that's exactly what NAC Director's out-of-band architecture does so well. See, many NAC solutions use an in-band architecture that place the enforcement appliance right in the middle of your data path. That's expensive, it creates network bottlenecks, and you can't scale it. Bradford, however, uses an out-of-band architecture that sits completely outside the data path, so it can enforce your security policies at the edge of the network where it's most effective. After all, Bradford would rather stop your intruders when they step onto your driveway, not after they've broken into your house. When NAC Director finds a potential user threatening the network, it does something remarkable. It commands your existing switches and routers to close off the network to that user, acting like a super smart, high-tech security guard. This ability to leverage your existing network is Bradford's secret sauce, and it makes your network even more valuable. But don't worry. Using your existing wired and wireless switches to enforce your security policies doesn't affect the bandwidth moving through those switches, so there's no impact at all on your network's performance. As you can see, our support for networked and security systems, operating systems, and security applications is unmatched in the industry. That vast support helps you leverage the equipment you've already got in your network.